the world of true crime. Truth is lurking in the lies, baby. Justice waits for those who breathe. Through the dark, we'll trace the line. Welcome to the world of true crime.
And good evening, good day, good afternoon, and good morning to wherever you are in the world. And thank you for joining us with True Crime with a Twist. We are coming to you out of UFO Paranormal and United Public Radio Network, broadcasting to you on 105.3 FM out of Mississippi and along the Gulf Coast of 107.7 FM out of the city of New Orleans, Louisiana. So, what an evening we have for you today. We have a fantastic show lined up. My two most honored guests is Kate Sterling, who is a demon hunter, and we have Angelina Jameson, who is a fantastic Yogananda Angelina, which they will both give you an overview of their skill set. Tonight, we are going to be talking about a chap who thinks and thought that he was the head of a vampire cult. Indeed, he did. So let me go to his true crime first and look at his background. So we'll have a look at this and then we'll get to our guests on the panel. Tonight, we're going to ask the question, was this person, Roderick Ferrell, the vampire cult leader, was he possessed? And who better to answer those questions are going to be our two demon hunters. So Roderick Justin, Rod Ferrell, was born in March 1980. He is an amazingly prolific murderer and cult leader. He was a member and the leader of the loose-knit gang of teenagers in Murray, Kentucky, also known as the Vampire Clan. Ferrell apparently claimed to be a 500-year-old vampire named Vesago, a character that he created for himself after becoming obsessed with the role playing the game Vampire the Masquerade. Leading up to his murders, Rob Ferrell and his group, the Vampire Clan, would meet in an abandoned cement structure, which he then penned Hotel California. No surprise there. The building is located in the middle of the woods in an area of land between the lakes. These meetings would often include things like drinking each other's life forces, as well as other types of unaliving rituals. Although no crimes have been proven to have taken place there, it is most likely that this is where these murders had been plotted. And if you look at a picture of him, he is like well creepy. In 1998, Ferrell pleaded guilty to a double slaying of a couple of youths in Florida, becoming the youngest person in Florida on death row at that time. Originally sentenced to death, Ferrell's penalty has since been reduced to life imprisonment. In January 2013, an appellate court dismissed attempts by Ferrell and Howard Scott Anderson to get a new sentencing hearing. In December 2018, Anderson was resentenced by Circuit Judge Don Briggs to 40 years in prison. Anderson was then given credit for the 22 years that he had already served, making him eligible for his first release. Oh, in quite a while, everyone, 2031. Thank you. Ruth Wendell's relatives attended Anderson's sentencing, and the hearing did not oppose these early releases. Speaking to the Daily Commercial, they said that they're more concerned about Ferrell, who was scheduled for his own resentencing hearing in 2019. His hearing was then sentenced again, where the judge upheld his life without parole, and deemed him an irreparably corrupt. So there's a clue. There's a clue there, ladies and gentlemen, right away. Irreparably corrupt. Anderson is currently incarcerated in one of the correctional institutions, while Ferrell is in the Northwest Florida Reception Center. So that is a little bit of background about him. And what we will do now is I will hand over to each of our guests. And the rolling order is we go through the guests and we go through their background. And then each guest will give us all an idea of what they've seen, what they think, and how they think they could answer the question, was Rob Ferrell possessed? Did he have attachments? Or was there something else going on there? After the end of their overview, they will give a bit of a summation of what they think was happening. And each guest will have an opportunity to do that. And then at the end, I will put together a conclusion. And from the conclusion, then thereafter, we will take questions from the audience and from those in the chat, and perhaps those at home, if you wish to have a think along the lines of what are we saying, how are we saying it, and listen to each of the guests, Kate Sterling and Angelina Jameson, and see what each of these beautiful ladies have to say about this horrid person. So I'm going to pass off firstly over to Kate. And Kate, please take it away and tell us about yourself, but most importantly, tell us about what you think about the criminal.
Okay. I'm Kate Sterling. I'm a professional energetic healer. I specialize in removing what I would call like living phenomenon, like demons and other entities and things I would consider non-living, like spells, hexes, and those kind of things too. I love to map them out and find information about them, you know, who did it, why, etc. So that's my background. So Beverly, wow, with this one, I mean, holy cow.
Mm-hmm.
Even when I was looking at it, I was getting interference. But what was interesting, it was like kind of like okay. Let me start and then I'll tell you what I was experiencing. But here's what it looks like to me. It looks like as a younger man that he had a lot of charisma anyway. The gentleman, Rod, had a lot of charisma. But what I see is him taking on a demon that actually was a vampire demon. And because the vampire demon said to him, I can show you the ways of the world. I can show you the ways of the dark. I can show you how to have power. I can even show you how to do ceremonies and how to bring others in. And it was almost like, I can show you what it's like to be me. Okay. And him saying, yes, let's do it. Now with the promise of that, it was more like, and obviously if you're dealing with a demon, they don't like to tell the truth always. The agreement was, I'll show you, and then you are the one in power. What happened was, it looks like to me, he just kind of said, okay, come on in, enter. And then that's when the demon completely took over. I don't see a part of him or any of his energy, and I don't feel it when I'm looking in a situation. I feel like I'm directly talking to this very, very charismatic demon who was actually pretty flirty with me and I was like, oh my gosh, did I protect myself enough? That's what I was thinking, Beverly. And so I went back, Angelina, I went back and I did more protection. I was like, okay, because he's like this Rod is still alive and this being is still very active. So I went back and then I kind of more of at a distance was talking to him, but like this is it's such an interesting case because what it looks like is then this being through Rod created cult-like practice with others based on the game that Rod was originally playing of the different vampires and rules of different vampires. But what it looks like is he literally taught them different types of ceremonial practices, different types of things to do, different rituals, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so it's like the demon then could live now again, right? And then actually have this crew around him. And that crew is active. That crew is the crew that actually was trying to get him released early and was influencing the family where the family's like, oh, I feel so bad for him. Oh my gosh. You know what I mean? Because there's this sort of this, there's kind of the spell casting and there's this other what I say is presence when they're in the courtroom, and then they're really feeling bad for him. But what they're looking at is this demon. You can even see it in the face, where the left side of the face is up and the other one is down. That's classic look for a psychopathic demon is in my body, and he has that. So, boy, there's a lot I could say, but that's my overall beginning summary.
Yeah, this is it. I agree with you and this is a trick that I do with photographs of anyone that says, could you have a look at this person for me, please, and see whether they've got something attached to them or walking with them. The first thing I do is I take a piece of paper on that photograph and I cut the face in half so that I could see two sides. And if those two sides in the photograph are completely different and they have a pulling area or a straight area, obviously if there's no Bell's palsy or there's no other, clinical reason for that person to be like that, and obviously, disclaimer, we are not doctors here, so we will not be talking about anything medical. But when you look at a photograph, if those two sides don't match and they're totally different, that's usually a pretty good sign. We've got a couple of attachments here. There's something going on. So, yeah, I agree with you there. Thank you so much, Kate. So I'm going to come now. You put my notes over there, and we're going to come to Angelina. And Angelina is from the Vegas region, Las Vegas in America. And she has been doing a lot of tremendous counter activity against the demonic forces and making sure that she clears a lot of those very strong forces. And she's had some excellent outcomes on some of her cases, with some of her cases now recently being taken to the courts, to the high courts, and they've got very, very high bails. Some of them are like $500,000 worth of bail. And I know, Angelina, you're waiting for some outcome right now. And please, God, everything goes in your favor. And I'm sure they will. Would you like to tell our listeners and our viewers a little bit about yourself, please, and give us an overview of what you saw about this particular killer?
Well, my name is Angelina Jameson. I'm a yoga practitioner and an international model, and the author of Yoga Foundations, A Beginner's Guide to a Mindful Practice. I've been doing my practice for nearly 2 decades, so I've been able to purify a lot of my own personal karma, generational karma from both sides of the family, as well as helping others on this path and raising the frequency and the consciousness of everybody I cross paths with. With the Dharma practice, boy, this is, being able to get deep into understanding the root cause of why people, especially people like Rob Ferrell, become the person that they become. This goes back generations. It's not just what happened to him in this lifetime, but what happened with his mother back to his grandfather. Because as I was doing some research, first of all, the guy is so defiled and dark. It made me so nauseous to look into that. I had to take a break and a step back and do some cleansing and purifying. And then as I was looking into that, he was essayed at the age of 5 by his grandfather. Okay. And his mother got into vampirism. And I believe she was in her 30s or 30, roughly around 34 when she had him. So she had made a pact to become a bride for eternity to somebody. And that's where it all begins. But prior to that, the grandfather, having experienced trauma at a very young age, that trauma is going to remove him from his body to not want to feel. So as he got older, because his mother was already involved in vampirism, once he turned 14, that's when he got really deep into it, gathered some of his friends. He conjured Vesago. He called him in. And then once he felt that power, that demon basically was guiding him every step of the way. It took over his mind. And then when you conjure up one demon, you're conjuring up a legion of demons, not just one. They bring their friends. It's a big party. But it's bad because now this young Rob Ferrell was only 14 years old when all of this happened. He's not aware of this. He's just listening and feeling the energy and allowing this demonic force, Vesago, to guide him every step of the way. So for him to go as far as unaliving all the people that are the people that he did at such a young age, I mean, that's not normal child behavior.
Right.
And in the fact that he was able to gather and build a cult of, 25 or 30 other teenagers. That kid had some power. He had some serious demonic power. And he wasn't aware of that at that age. He came in pure. He came in innocent, but he had some kind of karmic destiny with his mother, with his grandfather, and then to be able to be turned into this defiled demon, so this is part of their bloodline, and it's going to take a lot to purify that bloodline, because when the mother got into vampirism, she basically cursed the bloodline, but then that curse is going to go back many generations, and that's where you have to dig deeper, like where is the root source of where this came from. So they had to obviously arrest him after all the murders, and now he's basically binded in the prison system. He won't be coming out. He has to pay his dues. So that was pretty much most of the stuff that I was able to pick up. Actually, a lot of it. More will come as we talk about this. But that's my first take for the beginning part.
That's really good. We'll do a summation shortly. Thank you. And it's so good to see our lady Demon Hunters, because I run Demon Hunters Incorporated, and both Angelina and Kate are part of that, as well as a number of others around the country, around the world, as far away as Australia and South Africa. So from my take as well, I was a little bit reticent in going and having a look at him, because I did find that he was particularly creepy. His energies were very difficult. I didn't particularly want to go in and see him. I must be honest. I was like, I don't like this one too much. This is not the greatest one in the world to go and have a look at. But what I did was I thought, well, let me go and remote view him in the cell that he's in.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
So a co-located went out, did all the protection that you have to do. And I also went a little bit further, guys, and I added an extra layer across, and I utilized the energies around me in the Merkaba. I added additional crystals, but I also added a cloaking energy around the outside, because I thought, this one has got an extra couple of eyes. And when I saw him, he's got not just one eye in the middle of his head, our usual third eye. This sucker has got 3. He's got 2 here and above his eyebrows, for those of you listening on the radio. So he's got 1 in the middle, which we're used to, and then he's got 1 on the top of each eye at the top of the eyebrow. And I thought, right, this is not a cyclops. This has got 3. So not only was he looking with his own eyes, but he was looking with this Vesago energy body that was looking at me at those. And I thought, this is going to be a whole heap of fun. So as you both said, he was a real creep. And because he had seen many female energies in his cell for quite some time, he sort of looked at me, and you could see he was like, like, hello, ladies. And I thought, here we go. Cheers for that, mate. Thank you so much. And I just thought, no, I want to see and I want to understand his energy body. So his energy body was, yes, I agree with you. It was flirtatious. He was very charming. Well, he was trying to be charming, wrong person to be charming to, and wrong sex actually. So I thought, okay, that's a big hard no for me right there. Nope, thank you so much. And I also looked at him in a different way, because every time he turned, there was this 8-year-old child. And I thought, why is this 8-year-old child coming through his energy? And not an angry child, which is what I expected. I expected this to be like really angry and full of nonsense and whatever. This was a deeply saddened child. And I looked at this and I thought, no, there's something there that triggered him at that age. And as you had said, Kate, that he was, well, and also Angelina, you said that age 5.
Right.
He was 5. He was essayed by his grandfather.
Yeah, that was
that was awful.
Yeah.
So there was something else that happened age 8. And I think that when I started having a look at him and pressing him for the information, he got really peed off with me. And he was looking at me and said, well, why you want to know? And I thought, oh, here we go. Now we're going to see this charming dude is going to go to the side, and we're going to get, the nastiness is going to come out, which is exactly what happened. And I was pushing him to say, well, what happened age 8? And he was like, well, I was taken and I was utilized as a serving platter where they would put different offerings along the top, and along his spine, he had all these sigils written along the top of his spine, where he was bound with his legs and he was bound with his hands and his arms. So they were doing ritualistic aspects. They were utilizing him to hold the cup, to hold all the other, tools, shall we say, that these people utilize in these particular practices. So for our listeners, I'm going to come to Angelina and Kate, because you have a lot of experience in this. Could you explain rather tactfully any types of tools that you have come across in these types of situations where you are going out and demon hunting, but also removing? If there's anything that you can safely describe without triggering anybody. So I'll come to you first, Angelina, and let's find out what it is that this person could have been going through based on your experience, please.
When I'm doing a clearing, before I begin, I send the prayers out. I call for assistance from, the higher beings, my ancestors, to just assist me in purifying this energy and move these negative forces away. Mine is mainly voicing it out there, and then burning some incense, and the spirit world pretty much does the cleansing. I just sit in prayer. That's pretty much how I operate on my end here. And then whenever I get help from my fellow colleagues, we work together and pushing these negative forces out, because the brighter your light is, these lower beings cannot penetrate that light. That's why it's so powerful that when you can unify enough people together, you're able to push these dark forces out.
Yeah, that's very true. So when we're all working together, just to explain to our listeners and to those in the chat, that normally we have about 6 of us working. So we will do north, south, east, west, and we will do up and down. So Creator and Gaia, we will do all 6 of them, so that whatever we're doing, it's surrounding whatever that thing is. We won't even give it a name. We'll say that thing that's there, we'll surround that with light. So Kate, I'm coming to you to go through, give some idea of, what tools and techniques are going to be used when you would be dealing with this type of these types of energies that would be there, and how you would then push them out and clear it.
What a great question. Lots of protection, especially with this one, because he's a very active demon. Like you said, Beverly, he's a little flirty, but he's really aggressive. And I experienced both. So tools that I use are similar to what Angelina uses. Lots of prayer, always calling in ancestors and other beings. And there's a group that I work with, calling them in, doing my own protection, sage works and those kind of things. I use a lot of different crystals, and then I just go in as safely as I can to take a look.
He
And then I
knows.
usually and then I just come out. I mean, he knew I was coming. That's the thing. Then I was like, oh, wait, okay, it's kind of flirty. And then I was like, okay, I need a little more protection. So I came back and did some more grounding. I like to work outside on the earth, actually have my feet on the ground when I can. It really gives me a lot of comfort, but I also feel it helps me to connect really deeply. So I did that one more time, and then I felt like, okay, now I can take a look without being interfered with, because I felt like I was going to be messed with. So I did it carefully. If Beverly, like you said, like we work in teams, if I would have had difficulty in the second time, I could have done something like reach out to Angelina and say, Angelina, let's go in together, or hold a space for me. And I have done that sometimes.
We have
Yeah.
together. It was pretty powerful. And just to be able to see with our mind's eye what's taking place is just like, it's a gift. It's a gift to be on this path and to have, your tribe here coming together to basically just help other people to purify that energy.
Well, I mean, you guys have had you've had some corkers over the last year. Oh, my agony aunt. It's the ones that you've done, Angelina, and I think the worst ones that I have ever seen in all the years that I've been working in this. That particular one now that's sitting in prison. Well, he's not in prison, he's in jail because he's waiting. Mind you, he's actually agreed a plea bargain, hasn't he? So it's the rest of it now. So, oh, wow, that is a brilliant piece of work to be done. And Kate, you've taken all sorts of unusual, really bad looking ones, especially the leathery ones. They're the worst ones, and they stink to high heaven.
Yes, thank you. They do.
Yeah,
people don't understand, like when there's certain scents around, not even fragrances. Fragrances is a beautiful thing, but the smell of sulfur, dirty, mildewy socks. I'm so aware of my senses everywhere I go, and you're like, okay, that area has some, lower beings or just demonic spirits. Stay away from there, and you just smell it where you go. So if your senses are heightened, you're aware of your surroundings and know what places to stay away from.
And they are key, because you can also project that energy, and you can project that smell, which I've done a couple of times with some of the gentlemen that are on the team, because they're really good at, they are bulky 6'9" chaps that are, they will go in and they will throw the punches and chuck people around and do all of that just as well, because, they deal with, the demon dogs, and they deal with some of the really awful things, which you and I and the rest of the ladies on the team, we're a little bit, there's no ways I take on a demon dog if I have to. I did once or twice in Africa, but they're not my best. I'm not as strong as a gentleman would be. And the gentlemen we have on the team, they're like big hulky chaps. Even Chris in Australia, he's really good, and he will just go in and they fizzle, which is fantastic, because I love to see what's happening in Australia. But I think for us, our particular skill set is good for us to be sisters together and hold that space, so that all of us can do the work, one of us can lead, and then whatever it is, if they don't listen, then that's it. We do the final command and turn them to dust, which is the way it should be. I feel sorry in a way for this particular chap, because I think that somebody somewhere should actually have some form of divine intervention with Ferrell, because he is still got this thing, this Vesago is still attached to him.
Yeah, it is.
Why did nobody go in as the demon hunter and clear it out, so that this chap has got an opportunity to allow himself to cleanse and close all of those wounds, and start becoming a little bit more of himself, because he's not. And that's what I found very strange, is why have the authorities just left him basically to go to be in prison, but to keep his demon with him, what is it? Bring your pet demon to school. Bring your pet demon to prison. I mean, come on, guys.
His attachment. He has to be willing to let it go. He
Yeah.
was used as the altar itself. If they laid him down like that, placed all those sigils and sacred dark items on him, he made a pact. He made a vow. So it's him who's holding on to it, and he's going to take that with him into his next lifetime.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. The other thing I wanted to ask both of you about is when I was in this defiled dark space with him in the prison cell, he turned around and he looked at me and said, "Oh, I thought that you'd come to offer me to walk as a vampire." I'm like, "No." "Yes, but you're the caretaker." And I said, "Yes, I'm the caretaker. I was the caretaker of the vampires before they were set free and before they were given to their particular places, because they take a year to transition. They don't, it's not like the movies, everybody. It's been Hollywoodized. Hollywood says, oh, they take the bite, they do this, and then 3 days later, whoopee, there come the fangs and there they are. No. Takes a year for the transition to take place. It's not a quick thing. And I will say, not all of them make it. A lot of them exit stage left. They end up not staying on this realm in 3D because it is extremely hard for them, because they have to transition at such a space that once a week they get fed by those that are volunteering, and then their whole body changes, and it is extremely painful, very smelly, and sometimes their bodies, if they're not in a decent shape or young enough that they are in a decent shape, they just don't make it. So those that are walking among us in particular areas, particularly Louisiana, I've seen some in Tennessee, I haven't seen any in Texas, I heard there's some, but also there's quite a lot up in Canada and France and UK, in London, places like that. But he thought, the cheeky monkey, he thought that because I was caretaker, he thought, oh, well, here we go. This lady has come to offer me sanctuary and has offered me the opportunity, me, to be chosen. Obviously, I think this Vesago had been giving him the opportunity and promised him stuff. And he obviously thought, with somebody appearing in his cell like this, that he had been given the opportunity to be a vampire and walk free. And I said, no, this is not this. We just want to look at what is walking with you and whether or not there's an opportunity that your soul could be redeemed and that you could be saved from this. And as you both said, he wasn't having any of it. He was like, nope, I'm not interested in that. Yeah, Angelina?
And you got to remember, too, he literally made his blood offering to all these other members. So all these people are walking around with his essence in that way. And they're still walking free. They probably still honor him from afar, and he's just so far gone, so far possessed. He loves the power. He holds on to it. That is why it's not going to leave him, because he has to be the one willing to let it go. It just isn't going to happen, not in this lifetime, and probably not for a few more lifetimes.
Kate, you got any comments?
I do. I want to say this. Completely agree. I feel like what this cult has done is make him now an idol. He's their hero. Now when they do a ritual or whatever they're doing doing it almost on behalf of them, and to give, I say them, him and the demon. And so then he becomes like this icon, and I feel like that's feeding him energy too. And in his mind, why would I want to give that up? I've been working for that, to have this kind of energy. It's creepy, but that's what I feel like. So they're because I was looking at it and saying, now how is he being fed if he's in an area by himself? Like, how is this demon getting his energy? That's how, from the group that still supports him, and they're supporting him often. You know what I mean? Continual like offerings and energetic offerings to him.
Yeah, I would agree with you
Fascinating.
because he is getting his sacrificial offerings. He's also getting his energetic offerings too.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think because we've got the karmic destiny with his mother being a mother bride, being a bride that has been pushed forward as the one that's called these types of demon mothers, where she was birthing demons, birthing vampires, which is part and parcel of what she'd agreed to do. So we've got that karma as well, and that karma as well holds a whole bunch of and legions of these awful creatures because she's agreed to that. So it is, when you look at that bloodline coming down from the families, it is something that they have all agreed to, which makes it a very difficult one, because part of the conjuring ceremonial practice, which is again feeding him and doing all sorts of stuff, he was able to move into his power quite early. And I think that these sigils that they had put on him at age 8, I do think that part of that power was achieved. So, there was that promise of greatness. Yes, he did become, put onto a pedestal by all his followers. But what was worse, the followers went out and scooped up more followers.
Yep.
So, Kate, have you got any comments about that? I'll come to both of you and we can go through some of the ideas of what we think is happening here.
No, it makes so much sense to me. And thank you for bringing that in about about his mother's karma and what she agreed to do. Because as I was looking at him, I'm going, what is this group? It's a well-formed group. It'd be like having a group of energetic monks around you, like keeping you going and whatever, but it's around him. And I'm saying, what is this? Is so interesting. That's that karmic piece. And that's that sort of that devotional piece of what she agreed to, because it's kind of harmonious in an interesting way. Because I'm saying these are demons, but they're all getting along, and it's because they're serving a purpose based on what she agreed to. I just think that's fascinating. One other thing that was really interesting to me is that this particular main demon has a way of making you, he's charming, but he's also has a way of making you see reality through his eyes. There's a great deal I'm like, wow, he's like trying to mesmerize me, or he's trying to whatever. And I was like, oh, that's the hypnotic ability of a vampire. And I was like, and I was like, wow. And I learned so much from that experience. And I learned so much about what the power that they have. And it looked like this is the power that's exerted over this group. And then it's so heavily that then this group of kids, they go and get more people and more people. It's an incredible power, backed up again by his mom's decisions and then his grandfather's behavior as well. That all plays into it.
Yep.
Yeah, I think the glimmering, as you rightly say, the glimmering is, although I know Hollywood has had a lot to do with the way we see glimmering and perceive it, but it is a thing. It is very, very real. And I'm going to come to you, Angelina. What do you feel about this? I mean, is there anything else that you were able to add?
He's 45 years old now. I mean, I look at his picture. His eyes just look jet black. But these kind of demonic forces, they're charming. They know how to trick. They're tricksters. They're charming and they're tricksters. They know how to get into your head and control other people. And then the fact that he has all these other people that are still gathering, still sending him prayers or energy when they do, it's still feeding him the power. And that is obviously one of the reasons why he's not willing to let it go. And what else? Vesago. 500-year-old. That he if he would have stayed out, he would have continued on, obviously building his cult. So it doesn't surprise me that he's probably got that in prison. He has some sort of control in there. And my sense also is like he's very aware of, people like us coming together, talking about him, because they feel it. He's very in tune. They're very sensitive to this type of energy of people coming together.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right there, and certainly with all of his activities and what he has been doing. The other thing that I picked up, and you can have a look and see, when I was doing the remote viewing of him, I also had a look at him. He was shimmering and moving in and out. And then he started this funny, stupid glimmer nonsense. And I just said, really, you're going to try and do that? Do you not think that maybe if I've traveled to come and see you and I'm going to be going back, do you really think that glimmering is going to help with what we're doing here? This is not what we're doing here. What we're doing here is we want to understand why you're still in this situation, why you don't want to purify yourself and allow yourself to save your soul. And he was quite adamant. He said, my people are collecting people. They're collecting souls. They are collecting what I wasn't able to continue with when I was out of here. But if they think that being in here is going to make any difference to my people and my following, it's not going to. So as I agree with you, with both of you, there is no way he's going to give that up, because as much as he's still in the prison cell, he is receiving letters, he's receiving gifts, he's
considered
receiving
a celebrity.
Absolutely. And I think people that are in that facility, in the prison, some of them are a little bit worried about him and thinking, should I really be taking him on? Maybe not, for just in case. But there are those with him that feel he does have that charisma, he does have that power, because even though they can't see the demon that is walking with him, they can feel the energy, because that's, they're stuck in that prison 24/7. Yeah. They are going to feel this energy moving around. And even though they can't see it, they're not silly. Yeah. They will know it's self-preservation for people that are in the prison system. They want to make sure that they make it to the outside eventually. Whereas this feral criminal is stuck in there. He has to depend on everybody on the outside doing his bidding, because he's never getting out. He's got no possibility of parole. He has a sentence where he will be in prison for the rest of his natural life. He's not seeing the outside world at all. So there was no reason for him to play ball. There was no reason for him to take anything further. And he was quite happy to think that he was going to taunt me. And when I turned around and said, I'm going to leave now, he got a bit peed off, and he was like, And I'm like, well, did you think for 1 minute that you were going to piggyback on my essence and try and get out of here? Sorry for you. You're not going anywhere. You're staying here, because I have this golden protection around me, and I have my Merkaba. And there's no ways that you're going to be able to get into there and out of this place. You're stuck in here. You can't even get out through out of body. You're in here. You're in here for life. And the only place that he can get out is through this demon that's working through him. So yeah, he was not best pleased, and he started this whole, how they go, this whole growly. And I thought, for goodness sake, yeah, all right. I mean, I'm not interested. Yeah,
The way Hollywood has glamorized vampires in all the movies, and then the fact that even if you just Google, vampire, and then Rob Ferrell comes up, he's considered that celebrity. So why would he want to let go of that power? Mm-hmm. Power makes a person drunk when they know that they can have that kind of control over the masses. And that can be very dangerous, because the more power an individual has, the greater the fall. And look at it now.
Yeah. And I think he knew, that if we decided that we wanted to remove whatever it is that's with him, we would be turning it to dust, because I really don't think that whatever's walking with him is going to agree to move to the light somehow.
Nope,
Just don't get it.
not in this lifetime.
Not in this lifetime, no.
Yeah.
So I think from our point of view, I think we would like to try something like that, but I honestly don't think we could bother. 'Cause
No,
I don't think
please leave it alone.
No, I think we just I'm good. I'm good.
Yep, me too.
Yeah, I think we're good. So we're nearly on the hour, which we are. So I need to go. I need to be good, and I need to do the station ID. So for those of you that are aware that I battle to read the station ID off the paper, so that I spare everybody from seeing me trip over my words and say things wrong, we have got an electronic one, people. So I'm going to play this. This is our station ID, and for those of you that have just tuned in, this is all about our station, and I'll be back in 2 minutes.
This is UFO Paranormal broadcasting on 105.3 FM, serving Mississippi and the Gulf Coast, and on 107.7 FM from New Orleans, Louisiana.
Oh, that's the station ID. It's a lot better than me battling. Let's face it, just saying, much better than me battling. So let's go back to the discussion at hand. We are discussing, if you have just tuned in and you're just part of the comments in the comment section and in the chat, we are discussing Rob Ferrell, he is a legend in a way, because he managed to bring together all sorts of teenagers and people to follow him as a vampire leader, pretending to be allegedly a 500-year-old vampire. So what we're going to do now is we will definitely go to the comments later. And I know I can see there's a lot of you sending loads of comments, and thank you to everybody. We've got Tashelle, and we've got Dennis the Menace, or Demi the Menace, Be Happy, Lulabelle, and Shannon, and Katz. And of course, we've got Angel Rock with Laura Lee. We've got all sorts of unbelievable folks in the chat. We will get to all of your questions shortly. And what we're going to do now is we are going to go to the summation, and we will ask Kate to come back and say, well, what is her summation? What did she find? And what does she believe? And then we'll come to the summary from Angelina. And thereafter that, I will come forward with a conclusion, and then we'll get to everybody's questions. So please put QQQ into the comments so that I can find everybody, and we can use these amazing questions and get to as many questions as we can. So Kate, without further ado, please give us a summary of your findings.
Okay, my finding is that Rod, early on in his life, took on this demon, the demon vampire, promising him to teach him how to be a vampire, how to become a vampire, showing him, promised to teach him how to be a leader and how to incorporate power and become powerful. What it looks like to me is a vampire pretty much took over his personality at that point and did not really teach him anything, but took him through different, all of these different things that he promised, with Rod being sometimes aware and sometimes not aware. I see him not being able to come forward very often, and sometimes he can. And if he does come forward, it does look like an 8-year-old or something coming forward more, not him as an adult. So I see the demon taking over. Absolutely, is he possessed? 100%. And what I see now is that demon benefiting and saying, it doesn't matter to the vampire demon where Rod is, because he's benefiting from his body and the energy and the celebrity status and everybody doing, the rituals and sending him the energy. So it doesn't matter to him. The demon is just fine and enjoying it. Whereas Rod sort of looks to me like he's not able to come forward all the time. Sometimes he is, but he's almost sort of in this very sleepy state, like where he couldn't come forward all the time if he wanted to. And like he's imprisoned actually within the demon, within the prison. That's what it looks like to me. So that's my summary.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much, Kate. And I'm coming to Angelina now. Could you give us your summary, please, Angelina?
Oh boy, he is Rod, the child. He's locked in a cell mentally. Like he's not coming out. That real child is completely gone. Vesago has completely taken over. Some call it a character. It's not a character. This is a real demon that he conjured up and learned how to, well, the Vesago, Rod learned how to manipulate and con people and then do his bidding and murdered those people. So he's surrounded. He can actually conjure up more demons around him. That's why I'm sure while he's walking through the prison, he has this presence, this energy about him. And I swear, just like even right now talking about it, I could just feel that nauseous feeling with him. And nothing's going to change with him. He's just going to continue living his life in that prison cell, loving the power, and people are going to continue to, out on the outskirts, pray for him. And in this generation, or in this lifetime, he's not going to let that go. And I honestly don't see him letting it go in the next lifetimes either. Or at least that's my sense, that feeling that I have, because he made a pact at such a very young age when he was laid down and used as that altar. And you know what? It's his mother is to blame.
Oh.
It starts from there, because when she got guided into vampirism, here she is. She gets to sit free. But she's also another demonic force working on the outskirts, praying for her son. And she's not doing it in the rightful way. So their bloodline is cursed, at least for now.
So your assumption is that you think yes, he is. The answer to the question is yours. Is that yes, he is. He is possessed.
Oh, absolutely, he is full-fledged possessed, and not letting go of that vessel.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I'm going to come up with a couple of unusual bits here. So I was taking notes while our lovely ladies were coming up with the information. One of the aspects that I was looking at was that with this ceremonial practice, and it's typical that when you're going through the practice, you get stronger and stronger and stronger. Part of that practice as well has been the ability to consume and assume part of the energy values of your victim. And this is one of the areas that I see with him, which I agree with both of you, that you're saying, yes, he does have that level of possession with him. But I think we can also start looking at it and say, is it just this Vesago, or is it Vesago plus all of the others within the Legion?
Yes.
Because I think that this is an additional layer, that is not just a singular possession, because the full possession can take up to 7 years, and he's had way more than 7 years. But I think that the possession is a legion, and I wanted to be able to clarify that, and also just check with both of you that actually, yes, it is a legion and not just one main entity, because they're in the business of collectively making more. And that's why his mother is the mother of demons, and is the mother and the bride of these individuals, the headmaster, if you like, of all of this. They're not just having one vampire, they're having many. And that in itself is a worry, because even though he's in prison, he does have the ability to leave his body. He does have the ability to go to his followers. So yes, he does have the possession. So
he's an open vessel.
Yeah.
And invite in whoever he wants.
Yeah. Yeah. Kate, what is your opinion on that?
Completely agree, because sometimes when you look at him, it just looks like the one demon. But then when you're saying that Legion, absolutely, that's what that is. It's a whole bunch. just a whole bunch in unison together, working together. It's really something. It's very creepy.
Yeah.
It is very creepy. And because they are so many, and that was the one thing in the prison cell, is he turned around to me and he basically said, "We are many." And I thought, oh, that's cool. Thank you so much. I'm out of here. And that was it. And hairtailed back. And I made sure, with remote viewing, I made sure that I didn't go straight back to my base where I live and the sanctuary that I work in. But I then went somewhere else first, waited until it was safe, and I checked to see, right, is this thing coming after me? Is it going to follow me because it thinks it can get out? And I waited the correct period of time, reblocked, re-energized, closed the Merkaba, closed everything off, and then thought, actually, you know what? It's safe now. I can go back. So I did. And I went back and I thought, yeah, this is one of those that you get once in a lifetime. You'll get something like that, a case that you go to have a look at, and you think, oh my agony aunt, this is a doozy. This is one of those that you think, not going there again. So this is our collective conclusion, everyone. The collective answer is he was possessed. Yes. So we're going to get to, thank you for the questions, and we've got a few of them here. This is a very interesting question. So from Fifi Butterfly, will he even be able to reincarnate? What happens to his soul? So this is a really interesting question. So Angelina, I'm going to pass this to you first. Would you like to have a go at answering Fifi's question, please?
I absolutely, he'll be able to reincarnate in the hell realm, in a very low demonic hell realm.
Go, girl.
What happens to his soul? Well, it stays there. It stays locked in that cell, in that spiritual jail cell. That's the best way I can answer that, and until he somehow has the great destiny to climb out of that deep, dark hole, he can be there for, I'm hearing millennial years, in human years, being stuck in that low vibration.
That's
and
brilliant.
Some of them have a tendency to sneak out when they can, and then they possess something else.
Sure. Good luck with that one.
Burn some incense and sage.
Just saying.
Salt and garlic.
Kate,
what do you think?
What I think is, I see what it always looks like to me is at the end of your life, you have a brief moment before you cross into, let's say, the light or go to hell or whatever it is, that you have a moment without the demon and without the demons to be right before God. And that's your time to truly connect to God and say, yes, I want this. Or no, or there's no looking at God and saying, forget it. I'm this being, and I'm gonna go down like this. I feel like that's what he would choose. I don't feel like he would have a pure view, but there's always that, of who he is and his connection. I feel like that his soul feels that these demons and that way of life is the most powerful way, and he won't survive any other way. So that's what I think will happen. Could he reincarnate? Yeah, but I think he's going to go to a little darker place, and that seems to be his choice.
My comment on that is, I think you're both right on that. He would be able to reincarnate, but we know where he would go. But, and this is a little bataiki there. The little bataiki is, he could decide, and I have seen this, he could decide last minute, he could decide, actually, I think I want to save my soul, and I'm going to give this up. I'm going to be exiting this planet real soon. So I'm going to beg for forgiveness and for the Almighty and the Lord and Source and all these creator beings to provide him the forgiveness that he needs. And if he really does want to redeem his soul, the good thing is it is redeemable. But he would have to ask this before he transitions and before he exits. Otherwise, he's going straight back down where he needs to be.
Well, then if he's that decision day on Judgment Day, then he better ask to be make me a monk in the next lifetime and live in a monastery and pray and
Yeah.
purify that energy, you know, for the next 50, 60 years, because that's going to take a lot of purification.
It is, but you know, one hopes that he would get to that point. So, but at this stage, it's a hard no.
Yeah.
Now for the next one, we've got the Green Fairy, Lulabelle, and she says she's got a great question. She said, how would the vampire demon survive in a prison environment without the red stuff? Very, very good question, Lulabelle, and said well without using the B word, which is fab.
The red
So let me come to you. Let's ask, what do you think? I know we had mentioned some of the reasons before. Let's go over it again for our listeners and for our people in the chat.
You know,
Angelina.
they have a way of finding those things. If there's a will, there's a way. So, you know, if he becomes friends with another prisoner, that environment is like a breeding ground for anything that they want. If they can get substance in there, what makes you think that they can't get that red stuff in there?
Yeah.
Anything is possible. When you're hungry, I mean, I look at his picture. He's 45 years old. He was born in 1980. He still looks young. How is he able to still keep that youth? Think about it.
Yep, just saying.
And there's other people in there like him.
Yeah, and Kate?
I agree. I actually feel he's getting the red stuff, and the way he does it is, I think he owns that prison. I really do. I feel like this demon, the main one, but all the others assist everyone in being willing actually to give him what he needs. And I feel like he gets extra privileges and all that other kind of thing. So I feel he's getting it, along with a ton of energetic rush as well from others who are participating, let's say, in drinking it, and then energetically passing it on to him. I don't know what the word is for that, but I think you understand what I'm saying too. So I think he's getting the real stuff though too.
I do. And this is, you know, being part of the feeding regime and the care regime of these individuals for 9 years. There's always, and people always say to me, oh, how is it possible that they can get fed? Well, you know what? There's like this, thanks to Hollywood, there's this long line of folks that will automatically say, oh, this is the coolest thing. You know, I'm going to come and grab my neck. It's going to be great. Yeah. Okay. You know, whatever you say, it's not as great as you think, but even in prison, there will be volunteers that will think that this is going to give them power. Yeah. It's going to give them status. It's going to give them that ability, financial ability. It'll give them something different in prison that they won't necessarily have, because it's a hard place as it is anyway. And the food is so dog awful. You know, that green mushy stuff is just disgusting and gives you the trots most of the time. So you might as well get the trots for getting the red stuff. So that's how that demon is managing to live vicariously through the body of the feral prisoner. So, but good question there, Lulabelle. Let's have a look. What else have we got? Oh, this is a very interesting one, and I'll take this one, ladies, and say it very quickly. Jennifer Weedmark. Where in Canada are they? Quebec. The ones that I took care of, there's 2 places. They went to Louisiana and they went to Quebec, mainly because they all knew how to speak French extremely well. And the master that lives in Quebec took them on and agreed. So there you go, Jennifer Weedmore. That's the answer to your question. So we've got another one here from Be Happy, which is a great thing. And we've got a super question. That's something. What if you can't be touched? I believe that I am demon proof. I said it. I absolutely have something that keeps all negativity away from me. So this is a statement, but a question also from Be Happy. What if you can't be touched? This is a great question. So I'll come to you again, Angelina. Give us some insight on that, please.
That's a beautiful blessing.
Yeah.
That is, gosh, can't be touched and demon proof. I think that's amazing. I can't even tune into that one right now. You know, maybe they're just so protective and have already attained to a high level that you're just protected from that kind of stuff. So, blessings to you. I think that's awesome.
I think
That's
that's
the only way
awesome.
I know how to answer that one.
That's great. And Kate, what's your take on that?
I would say I absolutely believe that that's possible. What I've seen is I've seen parents who have prayed for a child over a number of years, every single night, sending them love, doing Reiki for them and doing whatever. They are like impenetrable. And it's like, holy cow. And then I look at the parent and say, what happened to you? Because the parent's not keeping up with prayers for themselves. But the children look beautiful. Their energy is beautiful. Their lives are happy. So I absolutely believe that can be accomplished over time. Probably for some people like Angelina, I would think some people it's a lifetime and then another lifetime full. So yeah, I absolutely can believe that you can build that up over time. And it's probably individual depending on what karma and dharma and all that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if the parent is praying for their kid, the parent is taking the spiritual hits.
That
so,
makes sense. That's what I
yes.
see. Okay.
And
yeah.
because I have seen that. I was like, well, how come that person's got so much good luck and then that person over there is suffering so much? So if they have a parent that is praying for them all the time, then that's a beautiful blessing. You chose the right parent in this lifetime then.
Absolutely. And I'm gonna throw in a bit of a wild card here, ladies. So in my experience, which is, only about 45 years, in my experience, people that are untouched are individuals that have a very unusual bloodline and a blood type. But more importantly, they have a very, very rare type of blood. And it's called RH null.
Mm-hmm.
So not RH positive, not RH negative, RH null. And they are the ones that have the DNA that attract directly back to the angelic realm. And this is why they are the untouchable. So we all know that there's an angel that was and started off as a human and then was elevated and allowed his energy to become so elevated that he became the keeper of the knowledge. And we all know we're talking about Melchizedek. So Melchizedek started off life as a human, but became Melchizedek, angelic being, the keeper of the knowledge, but also the gatekeeper of the Akashic records. So if that is a possibility for humans to ascend to that level, because Melchizedek did exactly that, there is no reason why a human being, cannot be protected and cannot have sacred red stuff and energy going through their bodies in RH null, NUL, which is totally different to RH positive and RH negative. Totally different. But then you also get individuals that are part of the savior blood. And the savior blood is O negative, O positive. O can be utilized as a savior with all types of blood. So that's A, AB, A itself, all of the B, all of those types. You can utilize O and O negative particularly for all of the blood types and actually save somebody's life, because certain types of blood can only take their own types of blood. So this is also part of the reason why you will have individuals like this person here that is Be Happy has said to us that this is what they are feeling. Now, they've also come back and said, Be Happy has come back and gave us a further comment and said, I never feel bad energy. Does that mean I'm a good person or just a bad person that gets by? So I don't think that it's a bad person. I think that you don't feel bad energy, in my view, because of what's running through your veins and what is part of you. I don't know. Ladies, what do you feel about that?
Very positive
Angelina?
individual. Be happy. They embrace. You must embrace that positive energy and keep yourself in that space, which I think is fantastic.
It is. Kate?
Agree. Same thing. There's something unique about your energy field as well, over lifetimes. So there's something unique. That's what I'm going to say too. You are very well protected and a very, very unusual in the best ways. That's right.
Yeah. So embrace it, be happy, embrace it. Thank you for your question. It's opened up a whole myriad of different answers. So we have got another question from Cats. So I love the picture, Cats. So succubus and incubus. Can you tell us more, please? Thank you so much. That's a great question. So I'll go back to the top of the screen again, or maybe this time I'll switch it up and I'll come to you, Kate, first. How about that? That caught your mop. Succubus and incubus. Go on. Take the floor there.
Take it there. Okay. In my experience of working with people, I've worked with, let's see, I've seen more succubus than I have incubus. Incubus
True.
being the male version of the succubus couple, or they're not even a couple. But what
we're gonna have to explain what it is with and dance around it. Mating ritual. Yeah, that it is a being that takes energy from a mating ritual. How about that? Because we can't say that the sex word. We can't say that.
Nope, we can't.
Yeah, so it's rumpy pumpy, English way. Who knew? Yeah, rumpy pumpy.
When I've seen them, and when I've seen them be difficult for people, is actually I've had several males that will, during their sleep time, right? They're like not going in protected. What they're doing is, I'm going to go explore these realms. And so they just let it go and they go in. And I was seeing them going to one of two places. And what they do is, it's a place where there's these very flirty females, gorgeous females, flirting with them, seducing them. And then what happens is, in general, they flirt with them, whatever they're doing in their dream state. When they come in, this succubus is still attached. And what happens is, at first they feel more gregarious. Oh, I'm life of the party. I'm going to go out a little more. I'm going to have fun. Eventually, within a month of both of them having a succubus attached, the succubus become very possessive. Yeah, they will keep everyone else away, especially any other party interest, or if they're married, forget it, or whatever. And they become quite vicious about it.
Yeah.
Making things happen to the spouse, if this, you know what I'm saying? So that the spouse stays away, all kinds of, they can wreak havoc. And then they can become, when they become very possessive, they can even make the thoughts of the person that they're possessing, their mind go very dark, especially if they're not cooperative. But they do, I believe, because they're sucking the life force out of the person, the thought, the brain gets tired, and the brain gets actually negative and open to negative thoughts. So they have to go, because ultimately they're going to really literally suck your energy dry.
Yeah, this is it. It's it is difficult. So, Angelina, what is your feeling about, or what is your experience on succubus and incubus, please?
Succubus and incubus, they feed off of lust and the unfaithful. So most people that are not honest in their relationships, and I've actually seen some of these succubuses, especially in females, they have this charm, this seduction about them that takes over, and then something just changes in their eyes, and you can almost see a face. It's so weird. I'm like, I've literally seen some women's faces just shapeshift into this transparent energy, and I'm like, and then I hear the word succubus, and I'm like, oh, that's like some demonic spirit in female form taking over, and they create division in relationships, and they just create chaos. They're no good. A lot of, I live in Vegas. So
yeah, who knew? Yeah, you'll have more per square mile, I think, of both succubus and incubus in that area of the world than anywhere else that I know of.
Yes, they feed off of the sexual energy, and they entice the weak-minded. So you have to guard your mind gates in situations like that. And especially if you like drink, going out, or people who are on substance, it's easier for these kind of spirits to possess these type of people.
Yeah, you're right. My comment on that is, very unfortunately for me, I've had more to do with the incubus, sadly. In fact, very recently, I found one about 2 or 3 weeks ago in Florida, who had its eyes focused specifically on one of my clients, who is being tipped to be one of the breeders. And I said to her, be careful. This particular incubus, I've seen him. He's washing past, and I keep seeing him going past. And I said to her, I'm going to send some energy across the screen, and you will see that my screen will turn a funny color blue. My hair will turn blue, but I want you to suck in that blue energy and then put that into your own Merkaba. Put that around you so that you are completely and utterly sealed away from this man. And when she saw him, she said, wow, he's like one of these that are just, wow, a gorgeous man, big, hunky, big black man who was just gorgeous, shiny, and just absolutely perfect. And I said, well, guess what that is? That's this chap. Be careful. And every time he tried to get near her, because I'd given her this blue energy, he was like, when a fly goes to these electronic fly swatters that are bright blue and they go bzz, bzz, and they do this sort of thing. And that was what he was doing. And eventually she got hold of me today, actually. And she said, well, he's gone. I said, oh, good. So did he go like a fly going bzz, bzz, bzz? And she said, pretty much. He said, he wasn't sure what the problem was here, but, he just couldn't get to her. He couldn't get to her. So, and I just thought, oh, my agony aunt, you poor girl. And she's gorgeous. She's got, these big, big, big doe blue eyes and bright red hair. And she's, she works out and she's an absolutely beautiful girl. And she said, how many of these do I have to have? She said like 3 already. And I said, well, you're a selective breeder. Those sadistic individuals have chosen you to breed, and she comes from one of those families that are both sadistic and follow Shatanaku. So we know that she's going to be targeted. But this is what we did with her to help her to get rid of this very beautiful, again, charismatic, extremely vivacious type of energy from this man, which is the male incubus. Very dangerous, would have taken all of her life force, would have taken everything out of her as a breeder, again, for his own agenda to stop her from becoming a breeder. So they're very different. The succubus and the incubus, very, very different, both as dangerous as each other. Easy to get rid of, though, I think. Well, I thought. That's me. Hey-ho. So, yes, thank you, Cats. That was a brilliant question. Oh, we've got Indiana Farm Girl. There she is, this beautiful lady. Hi there on the farms. And she is actually a farm girl. She is a farm girl. She's beautiful. Right. Rod and Demon love, worship, and power of the followers. If Demon didn't have such a good gig, could he attach to another? So, yeah, call it as it is, Indiana Farm Girl, like you always do. I love it. So, if Demon didn't have such a good gig, could he attach to another? I'm going to come to Angelina. Angelina, what do you think of that?
Attached to another? You mean like leaving the
Yeah,
the
I think that's what she means.
They can control another, but I don't think they could attach, because once they're attached to one person, that person has to be willing to let go of that demonic force. But they can definitely control another and take over their minds. That is why it's so important to protect your mind gates. It's not always easy. You actually have to be very aware and be doing the internal work to understand the multiple dimensions in front of you. Because if you're not present, then it takes over your own mind until you can actually purify yourself of that energy.
I agree. And Kate, I'm coming to you with this question. If Demon didn't have such a good gig, could he attach himself to another?
I'm going to agree with what Angelina says. And then in my mind, I'm thinking, is there ever a demon that's disappointed with Louise
As long as they get their rocks off.
I've never seen it. I've never seen one voluntarily leave. It feels
That's
like
a true story.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Once
a
you're
true story.
attached, they're attached and they're in it and they're always finding some kind of reward. That's what I think. I think there's always a reward for a demon. Doesn't matter who they're attached to. So really good question.
Yeah, that's a good question. Nice to see you, Indiana Farm Girl. Always great to see you here. Thank you for the question. Now we've got this lovely lady, which is, and if I can get it on here, would be good. Denise Menace, and I always get it wrong. And I always call her Dennis the Menace, and I'm quite sure she either laughs at me and said, "For God's sake, Bev, get it right, girl." So yes, Dennis Menace. I did it right this time. Yay! Are there Melchizedeks in inner earth, like in the halls of Amenenti? Thanks. So
I'm going to pass on this one because I
you're
haven't.
gonna pass on that one. You know what, Angelina? I seriously, I love your honesty, and yeah, okay. And Kate,
I'm passing too.
you passing? Oh, my agony aunt. Okay, I guess this one's up to me then, ladies.
Sorry, Denise.
Yes, there are Melchizedekians, which are types of Melchizedekians. Obviously, not the one, because there was only one created from a human into an angelic being who holds the halls, and particularly not only halls of learning, he owns the halls of knowledge. He is a scribe and he writes everything down. But because he is an angel, folks, whoops, I mustn't do that. Yeah, I come back. You will notice that when I start utilizing Powell energy, you will see that my screen goes a funny color. So I will show you, because I'm sending energy, and then instead of being my normal color, this is what happens. Yeah. So yeah, I won't do that. I'll stay away. So yeah, I'm not phasing in and out. I promise. I'm not phasing in and out. But that. Yeah. Can you see it? Yeah. There we go. And again.
Kind of like an iridescent, like a bluish.
Yeah, for sure.
Wow.
Yeah, sorry everyone. So yeah, this is what the clients say. Can I have 3, 6, or 9? So you get 3 bursts of this energy that you bring in and utilize, and there it goes again. Stay back. That's what happens. So the halls of Amenti is one of them. The halls of knowledge, and also the Akashic records. But as I was saying, it was rudely interrupted with this blue shining bit that I sometimes can't control. Yeah, they are able to birth angels. So an angel can birth an angel. Who knew? So yes, great question. Right, we've got Tashal Shamash. And here we go. Tashal, nice to see you. I love your picture. You've changed it. It's super duper. I heard of a woman who has been with over 1,000 men. Okay, that could have been painful. Possibly succubus energy. She wasn't a rumpy-pumpy person that is on her back all the time. I don't believe. So that's a very interesting one. I don't know if either of you have got any comments on that. I've heard of a woman who has been with over 1,000 women. So I think what Tashal is asking here is, what was she? And what was she doing? You know, why was she doing
Wild
this?
is what she was.
Yeah. I mean, why would you? Who knew? You know,
I mean,
yeah.
She probably had more than just succubus energy. If she wasn't that part, I definitely don't believe she was a slave to that energy, because she opened herself up. I mean, when you open yourself up, you're allowing somebody to enter that root chakra. And that root chakra and with that many men, to be with that many men, you're attaching 1,000 cords to you. Of course.
Yes.
And who knows what they have attached to them.
That's a true story.
So here she is at the top of the pyramid, and then there's all these other energetic cords attached to her, along with their demonic forces attached along with the succubus. I mean, God, she's just an open vessel to all kinds of demonic forces.
Literally. Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
But 1,000 is not that many men, actually. Not really. Not in the greater scheme of things. I mean, if you've been in that industry, 1,000 men, you know, you can do that in 5 years, actually. Just saying. Not that I know. Just saying. Kate, dig me out of this hole.
I can't take you out of it, Beverli. I can pull you out, but that's it.
Yeah, I have seen this on some. I mean, I know some people that it's just when I'm in their presence, because I've been doing this work for 2 decades, and some of these people I've known for a long time, that our frequencies are on totally different places, realms. That it activates that dark force inside of them, and some of them I've known like that were like that ended up becoming celibate for a long period of time, which I think is fantastic, but they're not doing really any deep work to purify it, to really purify it. So they still get a lot of unfortunate challenges in their life and can't even hold love. You know, they literally curse, you know, when if they're not doing the work, they've cursed themselves in love into ever finding that in this lifetime. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Really
That does make sense. That was just very interesting. That just went wing, right off the screen, and my hands were here. I did not touch it. Okay. So yeah, we're having too much fun here. So this is an interesting one. Look at this. When she is saying, can a demon cause a person to have a severe allergy that ends you up in the hospital? Now that is a good question. So we're going to go around the other way now. Let's go Kate first, and then we'll do Angelina. Come on, Kate. What do you think?
I would say absolutely. 100%. A demon the right demon could affect any organ or gland in your body that it wanted to, if it had access to you, for sure. And given the right circumstances, for sure it could.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Angelina, what's your opinion?
Any kind of physical dis-ease within the body starts with the emotion, starts with spiritually. So, for example, I've seen this firsthand. For people who carry a lot of fear, it's in their kidneys. And this is one that I even teach in my yoga classes when we're working with the body. Right here, right under the collarbone, the pectorals, they hold the emotion of grief.
Wow.
So when you're bringing the mind, body, and spirit together as one, and you're bringing the awareness into those areas, and you're working through it and stretching it out, you're actually bringing those emotions up. So yes, to answer the question, any kind of demonic forces, low, and it doesn't have to be demonic forces. It could just be a low frequency.
Frequency. Yeah.
Ask somebody and you're picking up an energy from them, and then you take it on as yours, and you start to believe that it's yours. But you have to be able to consciously push it out with intent of like, this is not mine. I'm not carrying this. Take it back, or just disperse it. You know, so the body tells the story. It tells you everything you need to know once you learn and become aware of what kind of emotions you're carrying. As a matter of fact, there's that, you guys familiar with Louise Hayes?
Yes.
Love
You
her.
Can Heal Your Life.
Yes, I have her chart and how it explains, like, if you have any kind of if you have issues with the knees, that's ego, you know, in the back, especially like the rhomboids right in the middle of the back, that's betrayal, you know. So all of these emotions that we feel develop in the physical body. Yeah,
and lower back, of course, right at the bottom, at the top of your booty. where I just pinch people because they're just sending silly things and doing things to my screen that I'm going to just be annoyed about. So there's a pinch coming your way, and you're going to feel that pinch because it's on its way. Yeah, that is the financial booty, because you said that's the finances. So yeah, if you're getting that lower back pain, say, I am financially secure. I'm happy with my financial situation, and I promise I won't pinch you. So we've got how do we say? That's a very interesting picture. Moniac, what do you think, Moniac? Hi, ladies. Hi, Bev. Do you have any insight on generational attachments? That's a good question. I like it. Kate, we're going to start with you. Generational attachments.
Yep,
Take it away.
Okay. I've seen two types of generational attachments. One could be a curse or a hex. I would say curse because they're more powerful and they tend to last multiple generations. I've seen those be passed down through the line until somebody realizes, hey, there's something going on. Let me have this removed. But I've also seen people create their own attachments through, let's say, an issue of like poverty. And then what they're thinking in the story, they're telling themselves, and they're saying out loud, because saying it out loud is a spell. I'm saying, we don't have the money for this. We're always cursed. We're so whatever. And I see them say that in front of the kids, and the kids pass up and down. And that becomes really like a living curse for them. But it's something that they've created over, over time, or within one generation, really. And the others take it on.
Gosh. And Angelina.
Yes, absolutely. There's like, you can have in previous generations poverty mindset. So it continues to grow until all of a sudden one person says, you know what, enough's enough. Mm-hmm. And all it takes is one person in the family bloodline to awaken. And once you awaken to that truth and the veil is lifted and you see truth for what it really is, and you start doing the deep spiritual work to break those cycles, it can be broken. So, and even addictions, poverty mindset, just anything that is not, that doesn't serve you in the highest good. And then you overcome that, you're able to overcome any of those generational attachments if you become aware of it.
Now, I'm going to add as well that, when you start looking at those attachments, try also to look at your breath, look at your language, because what is most important is universal consciousness does not acknowledge and cannot see or perceive or manage with that energy of no, not, can't, won't, shouldn't, anything with an "nt" at the end. It does not acknowledge it at all. So when you're saying, oh, I can't do this, or I won't be able to leave you, or I won't be able to pay the bills at the end of the month. Yes, that's fine that you're saying that, but rather change that energy and change it to a positive and say, I will. Start putting that out, because if by doing this constant creation of the negative, you're writing your future, you're writing what it is. And that is part of that generational attachment, is people before you have said all of these things. The other worst thing that I've ever come across, and I've been seeing this now for about 30 years, maybe more actually. No, probably longer than that, probably about 35, 40 years. I've been seeing people saying to the children, to grandparents, saying it to the children, to their children, to their grandchildren, just be happy where you are, be grateful with what you've got, don't expect more in your life. Don't do that, everyone. Why dig a hole for yourself and expect yourself to just be happy with less than best? Be happy with the poverty line. You don't have to do that. You can raise yourself up. You don't have to say, well, actually, I come from this type of person. We never really had very much, this war mentality. Don't have to anymore. You deserve to better yourself. You deserve to be walking in your power, and you deserve the best that you can be in this lifetime. You are you, and you know what is right for you. You know what is right for your family. So grab that with 2 hands and start putting out those energies. Because right now, July, although there's these awful energies out there at the moment, they can go out, come up, and pull back down again. Start creating your own future. Don't go buying into the generational aspects. It's not necessary. So I hope that that answers those questions. We've got Agent Orange, and we are getting to nearly on the hour. So we're going to get the last couple of questions, everybody. Agent Orange is saying, when witchcraft is used to cause an ailment and doctors are not able to diagnose, is that a mental attack? So I will put in here a disclaimer, because, we have to. We are not doctors on this channel. We cannot mention ailments, and we cannot diagnose anything. But what we can say is we can talk about the witchcraft side, and we can talk about the powers and the energetics that does cause an issue with our energy field and our toroidal field. So I'll pass it over, Angelina. We'll go the other way around now. Angelina,
a psychic attack.
Yeah.
Definitely a psychic attack. That's why we have to be so careful with who we allow in our energetic space of who's going to work on us, because there's a lot of people out there that don't have your well-being in the highest good. They have a personal agenda. And I actually see that a lot often with a lot of spiritual workers in this town. I like to call them pseudo healers.
Oh, is that Vegas? Is that like a thing in Vegas? Really? Oh,
well,
wow.
I don't want to say it's a thing, but just in my personal experience, having been on this path for the last 20 years, there are a lot of pseudo healer, spiritual healers out here that they know how to harness the energy. They know how to, gather, but they have personal agenda to feed their own ego.
Wow.
So, and that in itself can cause disharmony within the physical body and spiritually, because I've seen people actually experience bad luck from that, because these individuals have their personal agenda is like, okay, I'm going to open you up spiritually. You're going to see me as holier than thou and sacred. And then you're going to give me as much money as I could possibly pull from you.
Oh, Lord. How
feel like a slave and obligated to these individuals. That's why I'm so cautious. And you have to be so cautious to really vet the people that you choose to work with. Make sure you don't feel that, listen to your gut. Always listen to your gut. I had to learn the hard way.
Yeah. And Kate, what's your take on this, please, Kate?
I think that is a great question. What I tend to find is that anyone that sends a spell, they're usually very specific. It's not usually a general spell like, I'm going to make this person sick. Usually there's something. I'll give an example. Usually, let's say somebody was using a spell to get back at somebody. They'd say, well, I'm going to do the same thing to them, and that's going to be to stab them in the back. And so what happens is their spell literally looks like a dagger that hits the person in the back of the energy, back of the heart. Spells are usually very, very specific, and they can be cloaked to look like it's a mental illness or whatever they want. You know what I'm saying? You can do so much with spells. It's like, it really is an art. And I'm saying I'm not a spellcaster, but I've seen them, and they can be just really beautiful pieces of art. You could, however, like Angelina's saying, a psychic attack. Yeah, you could just say, I'm going to take this person down mentally, or I'm going to block them from connecting to themselves, and I'm going to make them pay or make them feel the pain of it or something. And you could set a spell like that. That's what this kind of feels like when you're asking that question. But you could be very specific and even do a spell that's almost cloaked, so nothing can be discerned about where it came from, who sent it, and all of that. I mean, there's a ways around it, but to figure that out, but you could make it look like it was an injury, like a physical injury. You could make it look like it's a psychic attacks will look like the person is psychologically not well, like they're having a break.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, for sure. If you want to have somebody look crazy, you do a psychic attack. Yeah.
Yeah. Or you can take an item, a ring or a necklace, or, in some cases, even I've seen some people have used like the mechanisms of a watch. And then as that watch is moving and mechanism is moving, that is then pushing out the energy. I've seen that over the last few years. Someone's given a watch as a gift. And what they've done is they've penetrated all that. And there it goes, there it goes, there it goes. So, yeah, that's a really good take. What I want to do as well this evening is, before we finish, because there seems to be a lot of energy right now that seems to be going all over the place. What I'm going to do, yeah, who knew? So I'm trying to stay away from the screen, folks, because every time I move, it's doing its own thing. What I'm going to do is, in order for all of us here and our listeners at home, as well as all of those in the chat, I'm going to utilize that energy and ask everyone here on my panel just to send out some of that energy to everybody as we're closing tonight, just before we do the thank you, so that we can use this energy peacefully, courageously, with gratitude, and you can use it for whatever you like. It is energy that is stored up and has come from the sunbursts themselves. So I'm going to do this quickly before we close for the evening. So have a look. I'm going to put this on main screen. 1, 2, 3. Here it goes. Now, as you'll notice, I'm pretty normal right now, which is debatable, but you'll see that when I start scooping the energy up, you will notice that the screen will change and then it goes blue. So grab that energy, take that energy, scoop it up, bring it into yourself along the bottom. And for those of you at home, you can just quietly sit and utilize it and say, the energy that's being shared, I give you permission to accept this energy from all of us, our panel tonight, our gift to you, our soul to your soul, our heart to your heart, for whatever healing you like. So I will tell you, because we have a lot of people listening, they won't know that the screen has turned this funny blue color. And no, I'm not a Martian, but I will send it out to you now. And please accept this gift from all of us to all of you. And there it is. So there is the wonderful blue. Grab it, grab that blue energy. Allow that to come into your lives and enter into yourself, heal you, move you forward, give you peace, give you financial stability, reach out to your soulmate, move forward. And that's what we wish for you. So I would like to thank my panel of guests. And I know I've got to read this. So there's the piece of paper again. Sorry, everyone. Thank you to Kate Sterling, who you can find on katesterling.com, who's Kate the Demon Hunter, and Angelina Jameson, yoganandilinda.com.
YoginiAngelina.com.
There we go. Thank you for digging me out of that one. And of course, thank you for joining us to watch and or listen to True Crime with a Twist today. And thank you especially to UFO Paranormal and United Public Radio Network, broadcasting to you on 105.3 FM out of Mississippi and along the Gulf Coast, and 107.7 FM out of the city of New Orleans, Louisiana. Thank you also to the owner of UPRN, Joe Montaldo, and our station manager, Michelle De Rocha, and of course to Laura Lee, who always helps me to produce the show. Thank you so much. Please stay tuned, as coming up right now after my show is UFO Undercover with Joe Montaldo at 7 p.m. EST. I am your host, Beverli Rhodes, and please join me next Wednesday, 5 p.m. EST and 10 p.m. GMT live, when we discuss the case of, this is a good one. Come on, guys, come and join us. It's Dr. Michael 00 Swango. Weird and wonderful case, something that's not very well known. It's a strange one. So come and join us next week, everyone, and like, share, come and see us, leave questions for me on my channel, and obviously go on to UPRN and have a look at all these other amazing shows that are out there from my colleagues and all of those that I work with. They have got some incredible shows. So come and join us. Thank you, everybody, and a very, very good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.